Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Wednesday night tropical update. This is Louie, and I'm Mike from Mike's Weather Page. Thanks for tuning in to our YouTube channel. Appreciate all the new subscribers here. We're going to talk short and sweet about the tropics, especially Invest 98. And we're briefly going to touch Fiona near in Bermuda and then Nova Scotia. So here's what we got. So we've had a lot of models come out today with 98. I'm going to get into that all real quick. Here's what the tropics map looks like this afternoon. Holy moly, right? We got all kinds of stuff on the map. It's definitely got a lot of color in it, that's for sure. All right, so we got Gaston up here. It's just going to hang around. Might not even get near the Azores, so that's good. Fiona, unfortunately, is going to get really close to Bermuda. Could see some 100-mile-an-hour winds there, and then it's going to turn up into Nova Scotia. Really rare, strong Category 2-3 style storm in the 930 millibar range. Then we got this new little guy down here. Follow the leader? I don't know. We'll see. Not going to really worry about it yet. And then this little guy coming off Africa is kind of a weird track. It's already got spinach over the land. But this is the one we're going to talk about, 98. This is everything about 98. Because a lot of people are worried, that's for sure. So real quick, here's the latest update on Fiona. Bermuda's in a hurricane watch, tropical storm warnings. If you look at the windy app here, we're still looking at, this is Friday morning, 4 or 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. We can still see 100-mile-an-hour winds approaching the island. So even though we're not going to have a direct landfall for Bermuda, we can still see winds, and we're going to have tremendous waves out there, 40, 50, 60-foot waves. So it's Category 4. It's a big one. So we're going to have high storm waves, possible surge, and possible 100-mile-an-hour winds Friday morning. That's the latest GFS. Here's the latest Euro. Both about the same, showing the same, close to 100 for the island, even without a direct landfall. And then we're going to go up to Nova Scotia. Our storm's going to approach that on Saturday. And look at this, man. 923, the latest. 100-mile-an-hour plus for Nova Scotia. This thing is going to be curving in. Going to be combining a little bit of frontal line coming down, kind of adding to this. So major storm coming. This is going to be Friday night into Saturday. A lot of folks watch us up there in the Nova Scotia area. This has been trending a little bit more towards Nova Scotia, less Newfoundland. So, man, they're going to be dealing with a strong storm in the 920 millibar range. All right, here's what we're looking at Invest 98. This is the current satellite on Weather Nerds. It's very, 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 very disorganized, right? Yes, not expected to develop in the next day at least. The NHC's got it at 90% chance. You know, we go back to here. This is what we're talking about here. This little red spot. They're expecting it to come into the Caribbean. It does have circulation, lower level. This is even though it looks sloppy on satellite, there's still signs that we got some mid-level and lower level circulation. So it's going to take time, but it's definitely got the spinach that it needs to get going. Some of your latest spaghetti models here. We are seeing a general track. Been talking about this now for 2 days. Cold front coming next week, Tuesday. There's going to be a weakness. Our system's going to feel that, and it's going to get pulled up. Very likely the models are getting a little bit more consistent. Even the CMC, I mentioned how the CMC had a west bias with Fiona. Well, guess what? It's doing the same thing. It's catching up to the rest. So it's the CMC outlier no longer. It's kind of caught up to the rest. Looking at this pole northward, timing, we're going to go into a little bit more, but we're looking about Tuesday, somewhere around Cuba. That means we're going to start seeing winds in the Keys possibly as early as Tuesday of this week coming up. The latest Euro is on this map, by the way. It's actually showing a Florida landfall still. Here's some of the intensity models on tropicaltidbits.com. A lot of them are showing Category 1, 2, 3, even a couple inching into the Category 4 mark. And this is very believable. When our system reaches the Western Caribbean, it's going to be dealing with a lot of light wind shear. It's going to be dealing with the hottest waters on the planet, for the Atlantic at least. The ocean heat content is extremely warm. And, once it gets into the Gulf, it's going to be having those loop currents and loop eddies we talk a lot about. So a lot of favorable conditions for this thing to really explode. I hate using that word, but rapid intensification, very possible. This thing could end up being, a monster major hurricane once it gets into this area, which is, I'm not hyping that. Just my experience with these storms and what it's doing. So these are your afternoon samples. These are on weathernerds.org. The black line is the mean, the average. And the Euro, again, a tick north. This is what they were this morning. The Euro, a little bit south of Florida. The GFS a little bit more into Tampa. These afternoon runs, the GFS shifted a little bit more average, a little to the west. Euro still kind of hovering around west central Florida. Important thing to note here, obviously, is the farther out we go in time, it's almost impossible to predict landfall. We can see trends. We talked about it this morning. We saw a little trend with some of the modeling going to South Florida. Guess what? The afternoon run, they kind of came back. So we're in this little wiggle wobble, windshield wiper effect, flip-flopping. But what we are seeing is the confidence of this pull northward, Eastern Gulf, still the theme. So, exact pinpoints is impossible to know this far out. But every 12 hours we get a new run. And this fanning out is going to start getting a little tighter, and we're going to start seeing more model unity. So yes, Upper Gulf, Florida, still watching close. And some of these still go to Yucatan, I will say. I mean, some of these are keeping it west. So again, the models don't lie. That's what we're looking at. So there you go. Let's look at some other stuff. Let's look at some individual runs. This is the latest Euro. Now, I'm going to keep it about below Jamaica because we have people watching in Jamaica. All along, it wasn't really supposed to get going until about below Jamaica, and it's staying below Jamaica. This is Sunday. None of that's changed. Sunday morning. Then it gets close to the Caymans, starts to develop. 995. We're looking at possible hurricane by then. This would be Monday morning. Sunday, Monday, Cayman Islands. Cuba, Tuesday, right here. 982. This is the Euro, the almighty Euro. Best model we got. That shows a deepening system, 970, 963, 959, 951. That's millibar. That's strong. So there's the latest afternoon Euro. And by the way, guys, this is tropicaltidbits.com. We highly recommend tropicaltidbits.com and weathernerds.org. I use those the most. They're good guys. Same thing with the GFS. GFS trended a little bit farther west on some of the runs today. But notice what's happened. Yucatan. Same time frame. Here's Tuesday. But look, it starts to curve. We're getting that classic curve. And that's Florida Panhandle pretty much. So not a lot of changes in thinking over this afternoon, bottom line. We're still looking at a system that isn't even formed yet. A lot can change. But as you know, with our site, we love looking at models, spaghetti models. That's what we do. They usually don't let us down. We're seeing some consistency. And we're just keeping an eye on it. It's not even developed yet. So we're really, it's a big stretch to get too worked up yet on a system that's not even developed. But if you like the models as much as I do, and you live in Florida like I do, you really are watching close. But the GFS is a little slower. This takes it up there about Thursday, Friday. So, slower moving system is going to take a little bit longer. If I had to guess, the Euro's been on it all along. Upper level steering patterns are weak with an approaching front. And history repeats itself that if we get a weakness and we have a very strong hurricane, it's going to really react to those upper level winds, and we have a high pressure off to the east, and this will really accelerate our system. Now, lastly to note here is remember this real quick. This is very important. Let's zoom in here. Let's pretend this does happen. Let's just kind of pull it out a little bit. Remember what happened with Irma. Everybody focused on landfall with Irma, right? Well, here's what's going to happen. This system looks like it's widening, getting larger. A lot of storm surge. But what happened with Irma is people got caught off guard. We had surge all the way up and down, all the way to South Carolina, Georgia, East Coast. So, our counterclockwise system could still produce pretty good effects on the other coast if this verifies. This is not a forecast by any means. But just remember that. Don't focus on the exact landfall. The other thing to remember is a system, if it is a 3 or 4 or 2 for that matter, and it's moving fast, guess what? It's going to probably maintain hurricane intensity through the whole state. So we'll have hurricane effects way inland, possibly to the East Coast. And some of the models are suggesting that this thing could actually re-intensify or stay intensified and actually put some effects here for the East Coast states to watch. That's a very real scenario that you guys and gals have probably experienced in the past. So a fast-moving system could still affect more than just landfall, is what I'm saying. Remember Irma. Irma affected more than just landfall, Naples, Key West area. So, but we'll see. The models are probably going to be flip-flopping around. I was really anxious to see the afternoon 12Z Euro, and it kept it on that Florida Peninsula side. But the overall look here of the models in general does appear that they've shifted a little bit to the west. But anything on the bottom eastern northern side here of a system, especially in Tampa Bay, anything to the north is going to push a lot of surge with it. So, and we're kind of in that window here. These models are inching closer to where we could see some landfalls. So hey, we'll see what the overnight models do. We'll see what they do in the morning. I'll be live at tonight, and we'll definitely be live in the morning at 9:19 Eastern right here on YouTube. And we'll see what the latest is. We'll go from there. All right. Have a good night. See you.